welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Alexandra, and today I wanted to talk to you even about the Tim Holtz Media Mat tool set. So I've had a couple of questions by email, and so I wanted to address those. If you ever have any questions or comments or anything like that, do drop them in at support@thehedgehoghollow.com or leave them in a YouTube comment below. Or on our Facebook page. We do check those all the time, and we try to create videos to respond to anything that you may need help with or any questions you might have about a particular tool. So let's have a look at the glass mat. If you haven't seen it before, in that top right hand corner, I am going, maybe it's that side, I am going to link up the in-depth video we did a couple of months ago when this was first launched, and I showed you some really fun alcohol ink techniques that you can do on this surface that you would struggle to do on just your regular craft surface. I also showed you all the different mediums you can use on this and how versatile it is as well. The mat also comes with an easy clean mat, which is a non-stick mat that goes on here that is heat proof and things as well. So you have even more options as well. Or you can just use this grid, 25 squares here, that is designed for ink cubes, but you absolutely can just put regular ink pads down as well. So just tries to make it easier. I also use my mat all the time, whether I have my laptop down, whether I have something not paper crafting related, whether I'm sewing or something, I still use this mat. It's really nice and sturdy. I can pop things down on it. I've used glue guns on it. They work absolutely fine. They don't do any damage at all. You can cut on this mat. You really can do anything, and you can clean it off, particularly with this new scrapey tool as well. So we'll be talking about that in a second. You also, if I put lots of inks down here, I might take a chalk marker, I might take a Sharpie or a dry erase marker, and I just write bits and pieces on here. Or when I'm working, I might write notes of things that I want to include in an email or things I need to do that day as well. Also wanted to address the whole left-handedness. Now, I am a very left-handed lefty. I do lots of things left-handed, and there are little feet on the bottom of this mat, but I don't have any issues with it having that palette on the right hand side at all. But if you did want it on your left, you could just turn it the other way up, and you can see there it works absolutely fine. So I'm just going to turn this back around to make sure that you can see all of that. So let's talk about the tools. You have a scraper tool that has this silicone grip, so no matter how stubborn that stain is, you can really get in there and it's not going to fly out your hand. It's also good for some mixing and things, which I'll show you later on. Plus you have this ruler that locks on any side of the mat. So you can lock it on the top, on the left or the right side. My preference is to lock it on the bottom. But what you will notice is that ruler has two different sides. It has a beveled side, which is perfect when you're drawing and things like that. And then it has this thicker side, which is straight, which is perfect for when we're cutting. So let's have a look at some of the things we can do. One thing I wanted to point out is when you pop your ruler down, it will not line up completely with your grid on here. Without the ruler, this grid is perfectly square. It's square and straight to itself, and just that's part of the manufacturing process. This will be straight to the edge of the glass mat. So how do you work with that when you're working with your paper? So I'm going to work with this on the bottom so that I have the bevel on my left side, and I'm going to grab a piece of my Neenah cardstock. So I'm going to hold that ruler in place, and now I'm going to line up the edge of my cardstock with the edge of my ruler. And then I'm going to take a little bit of masking tape and I'm going to stick that down so that my paper's not really going to move on me. Then I can draw against it. Of course, you can stamp on here as well. You can use your Nuvo markers for some really fun backgrounds. So you can do pinstripes. So I can draw against this. If I wanted to change colour, the one thing I would not suggest to do is drag it. If you drag it, you risk pulling that colour that way. I'm just going to pick that up, use an alcohol prep pad, or this is one of my best discoveries ever, and I will link it in the video description below for you. It's an isopropyl alcohol spray that I bought on Amazon, and so it is perfect for cleaning up everything. So I can just clean down the edge of my ruler. I can move this across however far I want to go, and then I can do my next pinstripe, and I can do my next pinstripe. So you can see there, you can get lovely, lovely straight lines. And as I mentioned, you can also cut against this. So this time I'm going to put my ruler at the top here, and that means that I have the straighter, the non-beveled side closest to my left. You would have it the opposite if you're right-handed. So if you're right-handed, you're going to want it at the bottom when you're cutting, so that this straighter edge is on your right. And then we're just going to take our knife. This is the Nuvo craft knife. You could use your Tim Holtz craft knife or whichever one you like working with. And I kind of cut until I feel like I've gone through all of that paper. And you can see there I get a nice, clean, straight cut. And again, that's my other piece there as well. So the another option you have with cutting is a rotary cutter. So I have a few things I want to say first is, I know you're not supposed to cut with rotary cutters on glass, or any knife for that matter. It does dull the blade quicker, but I'm a convenient crafter. I'm a lazy crafter, so I like to be able to cut on everything on one, and you're not going to do any damage. I've cut on this huge amounts already practicing and trying out things for videos and classes and all sorts of things, and there is not one mark on this mat from me using knives or rotary cutters on it. The second thing is, if you do so, you're going to want a separate rotary cutter for your paper and for your fabric, because paper again dulls that blade. So also when I'm cutting with a rotary cutter, I stand up because I just get a better cut. So I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to put my rotary cutter through, good pressure. Again, I like to cut a couple of times, and then I can just slide that out. And again, I have a lovely cut on there as well. So that's some of the things that you can do with the ruler and how to get a really straight cut too. Same applies if you want to do it in this direction. I have a pretty piece of red Nuvo cardstock, and again, line that up on the edge of your mat so it's not going to move anywhere, and then you want to line it up with the edge of your ruler. Now, I would not suggest sitting at an angle like this and lining it up. You're going to get a much better lining up, and excuse my head, if you actually look all the way over it. You're going to just see any differences in there. Again, you could just take a little bit of masking tape, put that down there, and then you could start drawing or whatever you wanted to do on your piece of cardstock. Let's have another look at that scraper. So as I mentioned, it is great for cleaning. So you have a surface, you want to clean it off. If you're a mixed media artist, you can fit really big pieces onto this mat. If you are a collage artist or mixed media or a scrapbooker, you can also fit your 12 by 12 on here as well, which is perfect. So you really can throw anything at this mat. And clear up is so easy. If you get paste or anything like that, just put that across. It's got a nice sharp edge here. It's not going to cut you, but it's nice enough that you can just scrape things off. And I find it much nicer than using a razor blade, because obviously I have 2 children running around my house and I don't like having razor blades out. You've got that silicone edge that I mentioned, so it's not going to slip out of your hand, but you can also use it as an extra tool. So I have some texture paste. I want to colour it with some Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide. I can pop my pad down on my surface in my palette area. You could also do this same technique on that Easy Clean mat that's on top of here. I have to say I don't use that mat for that, but the mat is also great if you want to create different surfaces, or you want to create Nuvo drop. It's non-stick. You can also use your heat gun on it too. You can also use your heat gun on this mat. And you can see there how I've managed to mix it together. I can then take my cardstock. I can make a really big mess everywhere, and I can put that over. Something else I really like to do with this edge as well is when I'm working with stencils and I'm using a texture paste, I'm using an acrylic paint, I just take this scraper at 45 degrees and I run it down my my stencil, and it takes off any excess. So first of all, you're going to get a nice clean edge on your stencil. Secondly, it stretches your supplies a little bit further, so you can take any of that excess, put it back into your jar, and off you go as well. So lots of fun tips and tricks there for you using the Tim Holtz Media Mat toolset. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you've got any questions or comments, do leave them in that section below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stamp the bell so that you get notifications when we have new videos as well. do hop on over to the blog. We'd love to have you here again at Hedgehog Hollow, and give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed today's video, particularly if you've learned something as well. And I'd love if you left me a comment telling me your favorite crafty tool that you have in your craft room as well. So lots and lots going on here at Hedgehog Hollow. We'll be live from Salt Lake City in 2 weeks' time, and we'll have lots of booth tours for you. We'll have lots of new releases and exciting announcements for you there as well. So stay tuned. We'll see you again soon. Happy stamping. Bye.